There's a moment that happens in almost every emergency. If you've ever been near one, you've seen it, even if you didn't understand what you were looking at. Everyone freezes. 3 or 4 seconds. That's all it takes. In those seconds, every single person in the room is doing the same thing, scanning, looking for someone who isn't frozen, looking for whoever seems like they already know what to do. Sometimes no one moves and the situation collapses, but sometimes, rarely, one person steps forward, and the moment they move, something shifts. The panic drops. People start organizing around them. The chaos finds a direction. Who is that person? It's almost never who you'd expect. Not the biggest, not the loudest, not the one with the most gear. Not even necessarily the most physically capable person in the room. It's the person who treated preparation as a daily habit instead of a future plan. Someone who quietly built something over months through 4 specific skills that the average person has never spent even 1 serious hour developing. Most of us carry a mental picture of what a capable person looks like in a crisis. Former military, combat trained, someone with a specific kind of background. But talk to anyone who's been through a real emergency and they'll tell you the same thing. It's almost never that person. It's the nurse who kept their hand steady, the teacher who herded everyone into the right room, the random guy who happened to know one medical skill at exactly the right moment. Capability in a crisis isn't a personality type, it's preparation. And preparation is just a habit. I'm going to show you all 4 skills, but we have to start with the first one because it exposes a lie that almost everyone tells themselves. Ask anyone if they're aware of their surroundings. Almost everyone says yes. So let me test that. The last time you sat in a restaurant, where were the exits? Not just the front door, all of them. Where was the nearest person sitting when you walked in? Did anyone make you vaguely uncomfortable without you being able to explain why? If you can't answer those questions, you weren't being aware. You were just conscious. And there's a dangerous difference between the two. Real awareness starts with something called a baseline. Every space has a normal. A coffee shop on a Saturday morning has a certain pace, a certain noise level, a certain energy. That's the baseline. A bus station at 2 a.m. has a completely different one. Both are normal for their context. The skill isn't spotting danger. The skill is recognizing when something breaks from what normal looks like in that specific place at that specific time. Now imagine 2 men walk in. Nothing looks obviously wrong, but one hasn't looked at the menu once. He scanned the room twice in 30 seconds. His jacket is still on. He keeps touching the left side of his chest, small, reflexive. His friend is standing slightly too close to the exit, feet already pointed toward it, weight shifted forward. Nothing has happened yet, but something has already changed. Researchers who study pre-attack behavior call these indicators. People don't go from normal to violent in one step. There's almost always a brief window, 7 to 15 seconds, where something is visibly off if you've trained yourself to catch it. Weight shifts, eye patterns change, someone stops blending, someone starts blending too hard. A voice drops to a level that doesn't match the conversation. A hand disappears into a pocket and doesn't come back out. Most people feel that shift and dismiss it. They've been taught to feel embarrassed about noticing. They tell themselves they're being paranoid. People who've trained this don't dismiss it. They act quietly. They shift their position. They note the exits. They create distance without making a scene. And here's what that actually saves. A woman in a parking garage feels something is off about a man near her car. She can't name it. He hasn't done anything. But something about the way he's positioned himself, the way he watches without watching, makes the hair on her neck stand up. She doesn't dismiss it. She turns back toward the building entrance, walks in calmly, and calls someone to walk her out. Nothing happened that day, but she avoided something that was about to. She'll never know for certain, but she doesn't need to know. She got out. That's the entire point. Here's how you build it. Every time you enter any space, spend the first 30 seconds doing nothing but reading normal. Don't hunt for threats. Just log what regular looks like in this room at this time of day with these kinds of people. Do this once a day for 2 weeks and it becomes automatic. Your brain learns the pattern. The moment something breaks from it, a voice that drops, someone who stays too still, a movement that doesn't fit the crowd, you'll catch it before anyone else even registers it. Map your exits everywhere you go, 30 seconds per location. That early read is the only resource that makes everything else possible. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people avoid. Let's say your awareness is perfect. You see the threat coming. You get your 3 seconds of warning. What happens next? This is where most people lie to themselves. If something violent happened right now, not someday, but in the next 10 minutes, what would your body actually do in the first 5 seconds? Not what you hope it would do, what it would actually do. The truth is this: a nervous system that has never experienced real physical stress doesn't fight, it doesn't run, it stalls. Here's the biology. The moment your brain registers a sudden threat, your sympathetic nervous system fires. Adrenaline floods your bloodstream in under 2 seconds. Your heart rate jumps. Your blood moves away from your hands and toward your core organs. Your vision narrows. And if your body has no reference point for what's happening, no pattern it has ever survived before, it does the only thing it knows how to do. It stops and waits for instructions that may never come. Picture this. You're walking to your car in a parking garage at night. Someone grabs your wrist from the side, hard, unexpected. Your heart rate spikes from 70 to 160 in 1 second. Your vision tunnels. Your hands go numb. And if your body has never felt anything like this before, there's a very real chance you freeze completely still for 2 to 3 full seconds while your brain tries to catch up. In that moment, 2 to 3 seconds is everything. Now imagine the same scenario with a different person. Same grab, same spike, but this person has spent months grappling. They've been grappled before, not in danger, but in controlled chaos. Their body has a reference point. The spike still happens, but instead of a full freeze, they get a brief pause. Then function returns. They pull back, break the grip, and they're already moving while the other person expected them to still be standing there. That difference isn't courage, it's biology. Your nervous system either has reference points for chaos or it doesn't. This is called stress inoculation. You build it by deliberately putting your body through uncomfortable, controlled physical situations. Wrestling, grappling, hitting a heavy bag at full power until your arms are shaking and your lungs burn. Learning how to fall correctly and get back up fast. You're not training technique. You're training your brain to stay online when the signal says everything is wrong. The chaos stops being unfamiliar, and that's the entire point. Do this consistently and something else changes. The way you carry yourself shifts. Predators look for easy targets, people who move with hesitation, who flinch, who scan their environment nervously rather than reading it calmly. A body that has been through real friction moves differently. You stop presenting as prey before you say a word. That alone changes what happens to you. Add basic explosive short burst training, hard sprints, loaded carries, anything that builds sudden power rather than endurance, and you've built a physical profile that actually functions when it counts. Long cardio makes you good at long cardio. Explosive training makes you dangerous in the moments that matter. So now you can see the threat coming and your body stays functional when it hits. That protects you, but it doesn't make you the person other people look to when everything goes wrong. For that, you need the third skill, and I can almost guarantee you don't have it. Think about the people around you right now, your street, your building, your workplace. Picture their faces. If someone near you started bleeding badly, critically from a major vessel, how many of those people would know exactly what to do while the ambulance is 12 minutes away? In most places, the answer is zero. Let me show you what that actually looks like. A man catches his arm on exposed metal in a shopping center parking lot, arterial bleeding. Within 90 seconds, 11 people gather around him. They call 911. Some press napkins against the wound. Others just stand there, panicking, offering comfort. But no one actually stops the bleeding. He survived, barely. The paramedics later said another 90 seconds of that and he would have died, surrounded by 11 people who wanted to help but had no idea how. Massive hemorrhage kills in under 5 minutes. You don't have time to wait. The intervention that saved them is a proper tourniquet, applied 2 to 3 inches above the wound, tightened until the bleeding stops completely, not until it slows, until it stops. 4 repetitions to understand it, 50 to make it automatic. For wounds where a tourniquet can't go, groin, armpit, neck, you pack the wound. Press hemostatic gauze deep into the wound cavity and hold firm pressure for 3 full minutes. It feels brutal. It isn't. You are keeping blood inside a human body that is trying to lose it. That is the job. Here's what a basic trauma kit should contain. A commercial tourniquet like the CAT or SOFTW, a pressure bandage, hemostatic gauze, chest seals if you want to go deeper, and medical gloves. The whole kit fits in a small pouch. It costs less than dinner at a decent restaurant. You can carry it in a bag, keep it in a car, or store it in a drawer at work. Most people never build one. The people who do suddenly become irreplaceable in a world where everyone else is standing there empty-handed. Take a Stop the Bleed course. They're free, they're widely available, and they take 2 hours. Practice until you can do it in the dark, under pressure, with shaking hands. Because the first time a real emergency happens and you're the one who steps forward while everyone else freezes, something shifts permanently. People will never look at you the same way again. But there's a problem. You can have perfect awareness. You can stay functional under stress. You can know how to stop the bleeding. But if you put all 3 of those skills into a panicked, screaming crowd and you try to use them without this last piece, you will still fail. When a group is under sudden stress, their brains start scanning for an emotional signal to lock onto. If the dominant signal is panic, the panic spreads. But if even one person moves with calm purpose and speaks with quiet certainty, that calm spreads instead. This isn't theory. It's documented in disaster response research and first-hand accounts from military and emergency medicine. Groups without a calm anchor fall apart. Groups with even one steady person organize faster, make better decisions, and survive at higher rates. Here's what this looks like in practice. You're in a building. The fire alarm goes off. People are moving fast, talking over each other, heading in the wrong direction. Most people match that chaotic energy. They speed up, they raise their voice. You do something different. You stop for 2 seconds, you take 1 breath, then you say, at 70% of your normal speed, "Everyone, this way. Stay together." Not a shout, not a question, a direction delivered like the decision has already been made. And then you move. But there's a second technique that goes with this, one that most people skip. After you give that first direction, you start assigning tasks. You point to someone specific. You, stay with him and keep pressure on that. You point to another. You, go to that door and hold it open. When you give panicking people a specific job, something changes in their face almost immediately. The unfocused anxiety narrows into a single clear action. They stop spiraling and start moving. The panic doesn't disappear, it gets redirected into function. That's not manipulation, that's leadership at its most fundamental. In almost every real emergency, the crowd organizes around the first person who moves with calm certainty. Not the loudest person, not the most aggressive person, the person who looks like they've already figured it out. Your calm becomes the signal, and that signal becomes leadership before anyone realizes they're following you. Building this requires one uncomfortable habit. You must practice slowing your delivery under stress. When conversations get tense, slow your speech. When you feel rushed, lower your volume instead of raising it. Practice this in low-stakes moments for months. A disagreement at work, a frustrating call, a moment where everyone expects you to match their energy. When the high-stakes moment comes, the reflex is already there. And before you speak in chaos, ask first, what do people know? What have they tried? The person who listens for 10 seconds before acting will always make a better decision than the one who reacts in the first 3 seconds out of fear. 4 skills: awareness to see it coming, a body that stays online when it hits, the ability to keep someone alive until help arrives, and the presence to control chaos when everyone else is losing control. None of these require you to be tough. None require aggression or expensive gear. What they require is the willingness to practice the things most people ignore because it makes them uncomfortable to admit they don't already have them. Most people who hear this will find it interesting. They'll think about it for the rest of the day. And then tomorrow, they'll do nothing. They'll tell themselves, the gym is always there tomorrow. The course can wait until next month. There's no urgency. They rely on the illusion of later. But the person who steps up in a crisis didn't become that person on the day of the emergency. They became that person on random, boring Tuesdays when nothing was at stake, and it would have been easy to just scroll instead. Think about that paramedic who shows up calm in a situation that would paralyze most people. Think about the off-duty firefighter who knew what to do before anyone else even processed what was happening. They're not a different species. They just spent years building reflexes that other people kept putting off. The gap between being a target and being the person everyone looks to is just a choice, not a big, dramatic, life-changing decision, a small one. One skill, one class, one gym, one habit built deliberately on one quiet afternoon. That choice is sitting right in front of you right now.